Abdur Kalana Masat Wubazun Emma Kasamun Impa. Begin all prayers and thinking as a part of all. Anuki Dekau Paashak Impa. Anuki Dekau Paashak Impaat. Wu Kalawashak Kawan Dakoni. Anuki Kasamun Afaf Paat. Wu Paat Kawan Kasamun Afafni. Anuki Wahu Emma Paat. Wu Paat Kawan Wahu Emani. Nukadur Naju. Emma Kasamun Afaf Paat. Awu Khabub Emma Shakas Un. Nukadur Kawun Kalao Pafaf, Nukuragub de Kalpaat, Talama, Uragabni, Kawen Lia Bake de Kalpaat, Anuki Yabadbi Nafasni, Pakawen Anuki, Pakadur, Nukadur, Paamu, Nukamu, Hu, Panathominu Nitshayu, Kawuna Lulbihu. In English, that is, I am in the love of, well, first, begin all prayers and thinking as a part of all. I am in the love of all, and all love is in me. I am a part of all, and all is a part of me. I am one as all, and all is one as me. I can succeed as a part of all or fail as an individual person. I can be all that I wish in all, as long as my wish is to stay in all. I am never alone. All is, I am. All can, I can. All does, I do. Who, H-U, the guardian, who nothing would exist except a way of him. All right, so drink some water. Let's see where we left off last a couple weeks ago. What page? 34, 35. Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Alani. All right, so let's see. I'll read the first 9 verses and then we'll go around the room. And again, we'll read and give a synopsis of what you've just read. Scroll 10. Mind your mind for the jewels of your soul. Scroll 10, attention. 19 times 1 equals 19. Lo, in everyday situations, one should develop the faculty of attention. 2, concentration itself is a narrowing of the field of attention. 3, the entire attention is thrown into whatever is being done. 4, the individual becomes lost in the job at hand. 5, one must concentrate on the work and rigorously shut out all other thoughts. 6, no work can be done successfully without calmness and concentration. 7, in this way, the mind becomes one-pointed. 8, failure is a stranger to work done with perfect attention. 9, when one sits for meditation, there should be no thought of job-related work. I'll end at 10. Therefore, when doing job-related work, household chores never enter the mind. All right, so in these passages, it's talking about concentration and attention. And as I was reading this, the very first thing that came to my mind was meditation. In meditation, you learn how to get your mind to become one-pointed. In an exercise we did a few weeks ago, when I said we'll meditate for just a few minutes, you'll notice, and we'll probably do that again, you'll notice when you try to go into meditation, your mind is going to send you all type of thoughts, things you're not even thinking about right now. If I say, let's do 3-minute meditation, your mind, you'll go into your meditation, your mind's going to give you all these random thoughts, these bubbles of thoughts to think about, only because the mind does not want to be watched. Now, how you advance through life in being able to do whatever you want to do or attain whatever you want to attain, you have to have that concentration and that attention. Most people fail only because they give up too soon. They haven't been trained how to stay one-pointed and to take that whatever that thing is to its logical conclusion. Along the way, along the path of life, you're going to get this, you're going to get that. People are going to pull you this way, or people are going to push you that way. But you have to know you and how to stay one-pointed. Meditation is a way of doing that. It narrows your focus and your attention. Like if you want to shut out all the world, cut off all the lights, that's when you go into meditation and you focus on just your breath. Easier said than done. You'll try to focus on just your breath and shut out all other thoughts. And if you hear something, the mind wants to know, well, what did I just hear? Am I in danger? Or what, your mind is going to try to carry you out. You got to come back to just breathing in and breathing out. In and out. You might say, well, how's that going to help me in my everyday situations, my everyday life, my everyday problems? And how it helps you is it helps you to connect with your higher mind, what people call your subconscious mind, that has all of your answers. Whatever it is you want to become, want to do, however you want to grow, the answer is in your subconscious mind. It's just that the world as it is today has cut us off, has severed that link between us and our subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind will always guide you right, but it's a slave to you. So whatever you're taking in consciously through your conscious mind gets stored in your bank, your subconscious mind. And then when you're at rest, your subconscious mind is still working. So whatever it is you envisioned yourself having or attaining or doing, your subconscious mind is working to make that your reality. But what happens is people's meanness or myness gets in the way of their I. Let me write this down so I don't forget. I, me, myself. So what happens is as you go through life, this is in your subconscious. I will do this. I will become this. I am this. That's in your subconscious, and it's very powerful. If you come up with your mantra based on I, followed by am, your subconscious mind takes that in, and your subconscious mind does not know the difference between what is vividly imagined and what is real. So it treats it as though it's real. So whenever you must be careful of when you use these two words together. I am sad. Then your subconscious mind will make sure that you're sad. I am angry. Then your subconscious mind will come up with scenarios to keep you angry. I am happy.
What about, let's say, if the weather is cold and you say I'm not cold?
Yeah, that's a good point. And this is what they use in SEAL training and stuff. You're programming your mind that, when they get into those freezing waters, you first program your mind. I am not cold. I am what? I am warm. I am also, going back to what you just said, there are some monks that they go into this like freezing room and they just have on shorts and a towel and it's freezing, and they'll go in there and they'll get in their meditation position with their just one towel, and then they'll start going into a meditation, and within this ice cold room, they start to sweat. And it's all because they have command of their subconscious mind. Even though the exterior world is telling you it's minus 10 degrees, their subconscious mind is telling them it's something different. And your mind, your subconscious mind will take what you vividly, the key here is vivid imagination. What you vividly imagine, the mind treats as real, despite the outward circumstances. Does that make sense? was going to say something else about, so most people operate here and become enslaved to other person's I-ness. This is serves. So you'll come across some people who just cannot make up their mind. And they are open and always receptive to other people telling them what to do, how to do it, when to do it, why to do it, because they're listening to the I-ness of another person. And a case in point, I had to bring him up, is I marvel at Trump. Trump has a very strong I-ness, but his ego is all about him. And he surrounds himself with people who can't compete with him. This way, he can tell them what to do. And if he gets another person that is equally or stronger in their I-ness, in their command, he has to get rid of them, because then it's competition. And this is how a lot of autocrats and totalitarians are. They have a very strong, this is what I want, this is what I am going to do, and they surround themselves with people who bolster their I-ness. Does that make sense? So everyone has it, but not everyone uses it. And you can be enslaved to someone's I-ness just by the sheer of your job. Like if you're in the military, you have no choice. You got people over you and you have to do what they say. That's just how it's designed. But as long as you recognize that I am being here to someone else's, to my commander's I-ness, following their lead. But that does not mean you're entrapped there. Eventually, you are going to sever that link of having that particular commander and be able to assert your own I-ness. Does that make sense? I was going to say something about okay.
What about different types of meditation? I noticed some people have a different pattern of breathing out, inhaling, exhaling, or using a little bit of body momentum. So how do you know which one is?
All right, first let me go back to what you've noticed. Tell me more about what you've noticed.
They would get in like in a meditation state, and they would open up their body and crunch in and crunch out. Okay,
all right. So there's, I wouldn't say different forms of meditation. There's meditation, there's Tai Chi, there's Tai Chi Gong, there's breathing exercises. All of these are self-development tools, but meditation is basically this: narrowing the focus of your attention till you can concentrate on one thing and then no thing. That is meditation. Now, in meditation, there are also some other things. Breathing. You can breathe in and breathe out and just focus on your breath until you're focusing only on your breath, and then you're not focusing on anything. But even within that, there's an art. There's an art to breathing. To breathe slowly. Consider that your life, if your life was a series of breaths, and let's say you have 1 billion breaths and then you expire, no matter what, then people would be much more cognizant of how they breathe. Breathing controls, it is the thermostat to your emotions. You cannot breathe slowly and deeply and be angry. Anger has to be complemented by short, rapid breaths. That's why they say, breathe when you're angry. If you slow down and breathe, you can't be angry. Now, when you want to go deep into your meditation, you'll breathe slower and slower, and then you get to a point what's called static breath. that's when you cease breathing. When you get to that point, that's when your body starts to heal. Whatever ailment it was going through, whether physical or emotional, your body starts to heal. Now that's when you go into static breath. But then there's the opposite of static breath, and that's very controlled, fast breathing. What that is going to do is cause you to expand. This is what DMT or ayahuasca is. It's speeding you up. And so that's when you start having visions or experiences, because when you control your breath and start breathing faster, you'll tend to get lightheaded. It's not that you're getting ready to pass out, but you're getting ready to separate. So your soul is getting ready to step outside of itself. And then that's when, like if you do psychedelics or ayahuasca or those retreats, you'll need a shaman or somebody around you to guide you so that when you do go on those quests or those visions, you have a way to get back into your body. So there is an art to breathing, all for your self-development. Does that make sense? Questions? All right, Mr. Saeed Moorcat, if you would take us from 11 through 19.
In training the mind to work to attend only to the work at hand. Well, a person with an agreeable concentration can accomplish a task and have the time and with twice the accuracy that it would take the average person. 13. It is easier to pay attention to what is pleasant. 14. Where the mind is naturally attracted to what pleases it. The Holy Tablets, chapter 6, verses 9-14 says, "When I work, I should be as the strings of a guitar to whose soul doth." The silence of a moment becomes
Harmonious.
harmonious.
Oh, wait, let me, I just assumed. Where are you at? The silence becomes, I'm trying to find where, like until leap blows when all else, the silence of the moment becomes, oh yeah, harmonious, yeah. Or with you now.
10, which you would be linked unto a leaf who plays when the wind blows, when all else sings together harmoniously. 11. I never want to see work as a curse of
Misfortune.
for being disobedient. I say to you, when you work, then feel a part of the distant dream of nature. Well, the birth of that dream was the gift unto you. And you who truly love life will forever reside into labor. If you truly love thus through labor, will you love life for it? For it is why you were protected,
Procreated.
through labor. Intimacy of life innermost secrets will manifest. 15. A beneficial exercise is to fix the attention on a pleasant task. 17. From which one may have previously shrunk. 18. Under scrutiny they become interesting. 19. And interest reduces the pleasance. It is very nice to be important. However, it is more important to be nice.
Okay. And what do you take away from it? Take your time.
Again, it comes down to concentration and having your mind to concentrate on one thing at a time, and especially concentrating on an unpleasant event.
Mm-hmm.
So this way, like you mentioned, you program your subconscious mind to deal with one problem at a time.
Right, that's true. Any questions for Mr. Saeed?
I like 15. This is beneficial exercise is to fix the attention on the unpleasant tasks.
What do you like about it? What does that mean to you, Lee?
I guess
Thank you,
like,
Saeed.
I think there is a 15 and there's 17. There's a 16.
Oh, there's 16 missing.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for catching that. I'll have to let them know. Were you saying, Mr. Yuli?
It says a beneficial exercise is to fix the attention on the unpleasant tasks.
Mm.
So
Read the next one. Read the next verse.
from which one may have previous shrunk.
Okay. All right. So now what does that mean to Ulysses? And why do you like that? Why did that stand out for you?
I feel like a lot of like beneficial exercises I do that will help me
Mhm.
are things that I don't want to do
Mhm.
and are unpleasant at times.
Right.
So I feel like that's me a lot of times.
All right. That's good. That is very good. That becomes most people's stumbling block in life. If there's something that they didn't want to do or something they were fearful of doing, then they'll go through life never having done it. What just popped in my mind is swimming. A lot of older people can't swim only because they were fearful about trying, and then when they get older in life, they kind of regret it. But it's those type of things that you'll have breakthroughs. If you are like, well, I didn't swim as a kid because I was scared, then you should take up swimming lessons, if only to get over and overcome that fear, because then it becomes a blueprint in your mind. Then you're going to be like, okay, well, if you come across something else you're fearful of, your mind is going to say, okay, what in my memory bank was I fearful of, and how did I overcome it? So it's important. What you're doing is excellent. That's going to help you throughout the rest of your life. I was going to ask Mr. Alani if you could take the Holy Tablets. Now, Mr. Saeed read it. What was that chapter and verse in the Holy Tablets?
The missing one?
No, you read something about in the gray. See where the gray part is? It was
The Holy Tablet, chapter 6, verses 9 to 14.
all right. So let's go to, that's the Holy Tablets, chapter 6, 9 through 14.
Tablet 6.
Yes, tablet 6. Whenever we have references, I like to stop and look those up. All right, go to the very beginning. That's that you're looking at the. All right, Mr. Alani, go to the very beginning. You're at the end.
Okay.
No, you're at the end. Let's go to the very beginning. And let's look up tablet 6. You probably have to keep turning the pages so you come to the. What was it? What was the chapter again?
6.
Chapter 6.
Amun.
You're no, that's chapter 1.
Amun.
Yes.
Coretta is waiting to be let in.
Oh, Coretta's waiting to be let in. Okay. All right. So we're going to read chapter 6. You find it?
Chapter 6. What tablet?
Let's see. I closed my book 1 second. 34. What page were we on, Tito? Oh, I forget it. Okay. All right. Holy Tablets, chapter 6, verses 9 through 14. Let me see.
That's 6. That's
Okay. All right. So Holy Tablets, chapter 6. All right. So chapter 6, verses 9 to 14. Do you see it? 9 verses 9. What happens at verse 9? Where does it actually begin? Chapter 6.
Chapter 6 begins at 498.
All right, let's go to 498. What does it say? 9 through, is there a 9 there? Because it seems like it's not
that number. The low. I don't,
right.
they're not. I don't know how they're.
Okay, all right, then we'll skip over that. I'll have to look at that because it should say Holy Tablets, tablet number and chapter, but it doesn't. So that might be an error in this book, not that book. Okay. All right, so let's continue on. Mr. Alani, you're up next. From the scroll, you're going to read 1 through 9 from the unreal to the real, scroll 11. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go pick them up. That's what they're.
Mind your mind for the jewels of your soul. Scroll 11. From the unreal to the real. 19 times 3 equals 57. Lord, there are experiences, my child, that cannot be described. 2. Just as colors cannot be described to a blind human. 3. However, all ordinary experiences are limited by time, space, and the law of cause and effect. 4. Normal awareness and overstanding do not transcend these bonds. 5. Infinite experience is measured in terms of past, present, and future. 6. The concepts of time are illusory. 7. For they have no performance.
Permanence.
Permanence. 8. Immeasurably small and fleeting. 9. The present cannot be grasped. 10. Both past and future are non-existent in the present. 11. And therefore are unreal. 12. Ye live in a world of illusions. 13. With meditation comes freedom. 14. Freedom from fear of death. 15. Most of ye mortals ponder that death is the end of existence. 16. However, in fact, death means only the extension of the present name and form. 17. The greater the identification with name and form. 18. The greater the fear. 19. Living a righteous way of life induces the attachment from name and form, and from form.
All right, stop right there. All right, even though you're supposed to stop at 9, but I'm glad you went to 19. That's pretty good. So what is your synopsis?
So, from what I can take from this is just it says that there are certain things in life that, are just like built and designed that we cannot necessarily describe, just like how he mentions the example, like you cannot really describe colors to a blind person because the blind person will never be able to relate to what colors are. however, like, a lot of people seem to be caught up on like certain things in life, such as the grand example here, death, and everyone is fearful and assuming that death is the final, destination for a lot of us, which isn't necessarily true. I think people like to cling into one fact of existence and never really allow themselves to expand their way of thinking to beyond. I don't know where that comes from.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's like a society thing where people just get taught a lot of things and just get like robotic way of thinking, but it's part of it, I guess, is breaking free and just being able to understand that there's always more to life than what the eye can see.
That's true. Okay. Any questions for Mr. Ahmed?
I don't.
All right, thanks, Alani. All right, go ahead for 15.
Says most of yea towards mortals.
Yeah, it's talking about Yeezy. No, no,
I was
yeah,
saying.
no, no. You like in Old English, they would have the word ye or yea for you. Most of you mortals. They're not talking about Yeezy. Mhm. Any other questions? Any other question, Mr. Yulee?
Just something I just figured out or trying to figure out. Why does it assume that people think that there's no life after death?
Because a lot of people think there is no life after death.
Really?
Yeah, especially if you are Jewish. In Judaism, there's no life after death.
So what happens?
In Judaism, they believe it just ends. That's why, if you're in Judaism, they spend their time gathering what can be gathered and controlled in the here, in the now, in the present, because nowhere in the Torah does it speak about an afterlife. That came after the Torah.
That's what I think there's a lot of kids, keep the latest.
Mhm.
I mean, I find it interesting because from a religious, point of view,
Right, yeah. Most, or I should say, like of the dominant religions, Christianity and Islam, it teaches and it puts a lot of focus on the afterlife. And in Judaism, it's verse. There's no mention in the Torah of an afterlife. This is the only life, and then after that, after this life, it ends.
do you think people would like move differently in life if they found out that you only get this one chance? And do you think people now, knowing that potentially there's an afterlife, they act different? Do you think that the fact that the ones who know there's an afterlife and the ones who don't are moving different?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Wait, let me get, all right. Because if you knew for certain that this life was it, there is no afterlife, then you would do anything you want because there's no consequence. What is to stop you? As long as you get away with it, it's fair game, because there is no judgment of what you've done, what you're thinking, what you're going to do. You would do anything you want, and there would be no right and wrong except what you determined was right and wrong, or what your body of people, what you came together and said, well, we determined that this is right and this is wrong. Now, if you compare that to people, if we say, if you know for certain that there is life after the death of this physical body, and you meet other beings, whether you call them angels, extraterrestrials, whatever name you want to give them to guide you higher, you're going to move a lot differently in this physical world, in this physical body, because you want to ascend what they call that Jacob's ladder. Does that make sense?
Yes, but I think this makes sense without the fact that the afterlife isn't really the promise forever. Well, I guess, the afterlife, it takes there's two routes for it.
Go ahead.
The afterlife, either, based off your deeds, you go and you ascend higher, because you can introduce to the afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
And it based off of your sports card, let's say, it will determine your journey in the afterlife.
Mm-hmm. You said two. That was one path.
Yeah, so it's good or bad,
Mhm.
hell or heaven.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. There we go.
So for the ones who are like, that's why I say.
That's why you say what, Mr. Alani? What do you say?
I mean, to add to this, I would say I should ask the question: if Judaism
I'll be back.
doesn't believe in afterlife, and
I'll be back.
religions serving the same God, why they have?
Okay. All right. So let's just take the major three. Okay. All right. All right. Nuwapa, Christianity, A-N-I-T-Y, in Islam. And then we have over here, I'll put Nuwapa, or now Wu Sabat. All right, so the three major religions being Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, if they all are talking about, preaching about, teaching about the same God, how can they have such different views on heaven and hell? Where in Judaism and the Torah, there is no heaven and hell. In Christianity, there is a heaven, a hell, and a purgatory. And in Islam, there is a Jahannam and there is a heaven. Now, and that they're all serving the same God or teaching of the same God. In Judaism, God is Eloh. Christianity, it is, we'll just put God. And in Islam, Allah. Same word as Eloh, just in Hebrew and in Arabic. And so each teaches you that there is but one God. If you're a Muslim, you'll say La ilaha illallah, and then you'll add Muhammadan Rasulullah. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his prophet. If you are a Christian, you'll say the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, and the three agree as one. And if you are in Judaism, you won't pronounce the name. You'll put this little space here because that name is supposed to be sacred and not to be spoken by mortal lips. But they all converse on that there is one God, monotheism. Now let's go back to this monotheism. Where and who started monotheism?
What is that?
Monotheism is the belief in only one God. There is one God. Where did that start? Who started that? All right, so we got somebody saying Abraham.
Did it start with Adam, potentially?
Abraham. Now here, Adam.
But it's also mentioned.
I hear but. No, go ahead.
also
One
mentioned
second.
that,
The Egyptian, one that we like that we always talk about. Now,
All right, we'll come to that. What were you going to say?
It's always been mentioned though, since before the dawn of mankind, that even angels were worshiping God. Like, so higher beings.
All right, so you're saying maybe the angels. Tanisha, Coretta, any idea? The author of Monotheism?
No.
All right.
No,
So,
that's my no. But I was thinking the angels. Yeah.
okay. All right. All right. So we got 2 for angels.
What about God himself?
Akhenaten.
Then we got A-K-H. Akhenaten. I heard somebody say, somebody said something.
I said, what about God himself?
Oh, God himself. Got it.
Creating the concept.
Got it. God himself. All right. So monotheism, the belief that there is only one God. We got Abraham, we got Adam, we got angels, we got 2 people saying angels, we got God, Moses, we got God himself, and we got Akhenaten. The beginning of monotheism, that there is only one God, started with the most controversial of all Egyptian pharaohs, Akhenaten. Before that, there was God of vegetation, the God of bovine, the God of this, the God of that, similar to how Hindus have it. In Hindus, there's a God for almost everything. In ancient Egypt, there were many different gods as well until Akhenaten or Akhenaten came upon the throne. When Akhenaten came upon the throne, he banned the observance of all other gods except for the god Atun. Now, Akhenaten, his wife was Nefertiti or Nefertiti, and their child was known as the first Messiah, who was who? King Tut was known as a Messiah, the boy king. His actual name was Tut Ankh Amun, King Tut Amun, or Tutankhamun, as they'll say. This was given to him by his mother, and his father changed it because, remember, he banned the observance of all other gods. Amun is where you get amen, or in Islam, you say Amin, coming from Amun. He changed it to Tut Atun. Now, after that is when other cultures started observing one God. From Egypt, even with Christianity, where you got the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, was copied from Osiris, Isis, and Horus. It's just when it left Egypt and went into patriarchal societies, the first thing they did was get rid of the woman. So Asaru or Osiris as the father, Aset or Isis as the mother, and Haru or Horus as the child was replaced in Christianity with God the Father, Jesus the Son, similar to Horus, and then the woman was kicked out and replaced with the Holy Spirit or the Holy Ghost. Then when you would say, well, that's 3, but then they collapse that to being 1. They'll say that's three gods in one. And then in Islam, the same thing happens. Whereas let me get a, we talked about this before. In the Torah, where it starts, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. That's what it'll say in the English. But that's not what it says in the Hebrew. And from the Torah comes the Bible, and then comes the Quran. In the Torah, where you have Alif, Lam, Ha, Yad, Mim, that is Elohim, or what people say, Elohim. This Elohim, and this is a very important part, is not singular. It is plural. So when you pick up your Torah or Bible and it says, in the beginning, God created, that's not what it's saying. It's saying, in the beginning, God's created. It doesn't even say create, it says made, better shift. So it's saying Elo would be single. This is where the Arabs get Allah. And then this Yad in Mim makes it plural. Even like the Shemayims is heavens, where it says in the beginning, God created the heaven. It gives you the illusion that there's one heaven and well uttered, the earth. When it's actually saying in the beginning, the gods fashioned the heavens, more than one, and the earth. And then what they do in the English, they deliberately trick you and say this word is God, omitting the S.
That's true because, I mean, like I said, I studied Hebrew before growing up. And whenever you put Yud and Mim, it means explore. For example, sun is Bat. The Batim is sons.
Yep. So there is more than one, what they call God. It's gods. Who are these gods that we're talking about? I don't want to get too far from where we were reading. Let me go back to what Mr. Alani read. If I quit closing my pages, what page was that? 28, 38. Ah, okay, gotcha. All right. Got it. All right. Freedom from fear of death. I got it. All right. So we're talking about the heavens and this physical life. All life is connected. Scientists are now finding this out, that life is energy and energy does not end. So they do know that whatever your life energy is, when it leaves Yuli's body or Saeed's body, it does continue. Science is just saying we don't know how it continues, but we do know this energy cannot be created or destroyed, but only takes on a different manifested form. So that tends to agree with spiritualists who might say there is a heaven, but it does not agree with Judaism that says there's nothing after this. Now, in what Mr. Alani read, with meditation comes freedom from the fear of death. And that is because when you meditate, you start to lose sense of self. Most people look at themselves as an individual. This is me. I did this myself. I am who I am. And that is only because you have these borders around you, that you exist as far as your fingertip or the bottom of your feet or the crown of your head, and you think, this is me. As you lance into meditation and go deeper into meditation, you start to expand and you start to realize, I am not just me, but then you connect with, I am life. I am a part of you. You are part of me. I'm also part of you, and you're also part of me. I'm also part of you, and you're also a part of me. And then you start to look at humankind as brothers and as sisters, instead of me versus you versus you versus you versus Tanisha and versus Coretta. As long as you are not on that path to awaken yourself, you'll see yourself as an individual, you'll see yourself as alone, you'll see yourself as this one entity in a world of entities, and that's not true. Everything is connected. The aura that I am exhibiting extends a certain length out. The aura that Tito's exuding exists a certain length out. And there is a point where your aura overlaps with others. Like in your proximity, all of your auras are overlapping. You're sharing. It's just you're not consciously aware of it. When you become aware of this aura, then you can expand this aura, and then you can feel what other people are feeling. You can sense what other people are sensing, and it makes you more empathetic. Women are more adept at doing this than men because men are more egotistical. The more you focus on your ego, you collapse this aura and you're thinking of yourself versus the world. You're thinking competitively. Women are less imbued with ego and more in tune with their intuition, thus their aura expands faster than what men's do. This is also why women will pick up on things that men might be trying to hide. And they'll just say, I can just sense it. I know he's hiding something. And 9 times out of 10, they're right. And it's because they're picking up on that aura without having tangible evidence and proof. It's radiating in their aura and they feel it. And it's just as real to them. And depending on
Us men need that power.
huh?
Us men need that power.
Well, you can gain it. It's just you have to, your ego has to come down so that your intuition can go up. So women are already on that path where they're not as egotistical as men and they're more intuitive than men. And so that's why they pick up on it sooner than a man would. Does that make sense? There was a lot in here I wanted to go over. 38. Oh, first, let me go back to what Said read. When we're looking for that in the Holy Tablet, that comes from Khalil Gibran, a famous poet from Lebanon. And he was talking about how you should find a work that you love and find your life in that work and not through laziness. So that's why I wanted to find that was from Khalil Gibran. Yes, sir.
So we went over
Right, Judaism.
What does Bob? What's that?
Pa Nabab Yanun. Pa Nabab Yanun. Pa is the, Nabab is master, and Yanun is his name, the master Yanun. So now what does Pa Nabab Yanun and the Nuwapians or the Wu Sabat teach on heaven and hell, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam? What Panabab teaches is this. Your energy does continue after this physical abode. Now, all life, he teaches, is connected in that you have to look at nature for the answer. And in nature, how does life continue? It's from mother, father, child, mother, father, child, mother, father, child, but not necessarily that way. It's really with the feminine energy. Now, if I were to say, Mr. Alani, think of your mother, her image would come to mind. Think of your father, his image would come to mind. If I were to ask Miss Coretta, think of your mother, she would envision her mother. And Miss Coretta, think of your father, she would see her father. And then this would go all the way back. Everyone begetting someone begetting someone. Now, that's just with humans. If you take animals, if you have a dog or a cat, that was birthed from their mother and their father. Or a cat, their mother, their father, or a llama, their mother, their father. Or plants. How do plants grow? Do plants have mothers and fathers? What was that? Keep going. Okay. So did they have a mother and father? Yeah, he's saying pollination. So pollination is the
process of pollen to go from somewhere to another.
and so you're saying through that pollen being implanted on another flower, it produces more flowers, just as semen being deposited on an egg incubates that egg. So does it have a mother and a father? All right, so we were saying plants have mothers and fathers. What about the earth?
If you follow that concept, then everything is life.
All right, I'm hearing Mr. Travinci say yes. I'm hearing Mr. Alani say yes. And the answer is yes. It's all, and I want you to understand this point, is that just as you come from your mother and father, the plant kingdom has its parental type of guidance. Elements too have, like hydrogen, it splits, becomes helium, and then it splits, and they also have that particular parental lineage. And the planet, which is alive, also comes from this particular sun that exploded to form this sun in this solar system. It has a parentage. Now, this is important because it's all linked together and it has its own form of intelligence. I say that to say this: you and your intelligence, as long as you are thinking egotistically, you're thinking that your intelligence is just you from what you've gathered through see, hear, tasting, smelling, and feeling, and that makes up the bulk of your knowledge, your wisdom, and your understanding. That's true if you think it's true, meaning you limit yourself to that. But there's also, and the natives were very good at this, in understanding that plants have an intellect. Elements have an intellect. The male intellect is different from the female intellect. Water, as we talked about before, holds memory and intellect. All the air, all of these things are sources for you to be able to take in and for you to be able to use. So going back to what Panabab teaches, and this is called animism, is that all things are connected and you can draw wisdom, counsel, guidance, advice, healing from these different kingdoms, from the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, the atomic kingdom. All of these different kingdoms of life have their own form of intelligence and their own method of begetting, from female, male, child, female, male, child, female, male, child. Now, I say that, but if you go back, there's something called Parthenogenesis. All right, is anyone aware of Parthogenesis? That's when the mother is able to reproduce without that male energy. It's called Parthogenesis. And interestingly, they are finding that humans had this originally. Women, human women, were able to give birth without the male semen. Today, there are scientists in Europe trying to turn those genes back on to where the woman is able to give birth without the aid of a man. It's called Parthogenesis.
Is that real or is that a theory or?
No, it's real.
If it's real, then it's gonna go down to Miriam.
Giving birth to Jesus.
Right. Right. Yeah. So that's a good point. So now when we talk about Miriam or Mary and the virgin birth without the aid of a man, now with Parthogenesis, it's saying that is very possible.
But it must be something very rare.
Okay.
A woman has
what-
both of them.
No. I don't know. Was Eve or something like that.
Mm,
That got pregnant without anything else.
mhm. So science are now trying to turn that gene back on in humans.
Are there any recorded
Human cases?
cases? Yes.
I don't know. That's a good question. That's something I have to look into.
So as of now, all this is theoretical. Except the incident, obviously, with Mary giving birth to Jesus, because we all know that it took place and it was a miracle. It happened.
No, we don't know. Okay, and the reason why I say that, the reason why I smile is because, all right, so the reason why we don't know that is because there is no proof or evidence that a Miriam or a Mary ever existed. All we know is it's a story in books, but as there's no historical, there's no artifacts to confirm that a Mary or even a Jesus ever existed. Some time ago, Time magazine came out with the world's most influential men, and I think it had Muhammad at 14, and it had Jesus.
Controversy.
Yeah, and it had Jesus at maybe 90 something. And the reason why, because a lot of Christians were upset that Muhammad was ranked far higher than Jesus. And the reason why he was is because there's more evidence of Muhammad's existence to substantiate his existence and his effect upon the Arab society, whereas there's nothing of Jesus's existence.
So then why is it Bethlehem is connected or linked to Mary and Jesus? Where, like, how did they know that Bethlehem was the birth of Jesus?
How did they know that Bethlehem was the birth of Jesus? I would have to change the word no. Why do they say Bethlehem is the birth of Jesus? Because there's no proof or evidence. That's why the Israelis are spending billions of dollars digging up that land, trying to find artifacts that would substantiate their right to that land. As of today, they have no substantial right to claim that this part of Palestine belongs to them. That's why they're digging up, trying to look for evidence to say, see, this was left by our ancestors. And to date, they found absolutely nothing.
It's like they're building something and the theory of they found something.
Yeah. There's no doubt that they'll try to fabricate something. But as of today, right now, there's nothing. They haven't found a manger. They haven't found a Jesus. They haven't found a Mary. They haven't found a Pontius Pilate. They found absolutely nothing to substantiate that that land belongs to them.
So if there's no evidence of Mary and Jesus ever existed, right?
That's true. There's none.
So how is their religion revolving around?
Not only that, but also the Quran. Jesus is the most mentioned character in the Quran.
Exactly. So
Right.
it's just very.
All right. So how is it that this is taken off worldwide, that everybody believes this, and everybody believes
Because
this?
you're a common sense person,
Mhm.
you know, in nowadays, era, right?
Yes.
And you try to explain something to them
Right.
that never existed.
Right.
Why would I carry on that legacy for the
Right.
next 50 years?
Right.
Because it wouldn't make sense because it never existed. So how are there like multiple? But where does it start from?
I'm gonna get to that. The key is belief. You can believe anything that you want
Absolutely.
and be 100% wrong. Now, belief is also very powerful, because if I can get you to believe something without ever presenting any substantiated facts, I just get you to believe it, to buy into it, then I could pretty much make you do anything that I want you to do. This is the power of belief.
For the name of the cause.
Yeah, Hitler was a very adept at this, and is getting people to believe something about another group of people, and then I can make all of you people look at those people as bad, and let's go do them harm without having any substantiated facts. Now, what do you say?
Like Trump.
Yeah, similar to Trump or to Putin. A lot of autocrats use belief, and any type of avenue where facts are coming out, they want to shut it down, which is why when Hitler, first thing he did was shut down the media and have only state-sponsored media, so nobody could contradict his belief. And Putin just this week did the same thing. There's only state media so that nobody can contradict the belief system. Now, going back to how did all this get started? Where is the beginning of this? And it comes back to what Yuli was inquiring about. I will say, all right. So there are some ancient texts. Time check first.
11:49.
And all right, let's take a break, do a restroom break. And then when we come back, we'll talk about where did this all begin and how did we get on these different paths?
Question. Where do Israelites fall in on the whole thing?
Okay, let me just put that on the,
What was the code? Oh, that's the code. Right?
yes, 8362. All right, so when we come back, I'll talk about how this all got jumbled up, where it began, but more importantly, I want to talk about how you can use this. The whole thing is I want people to be able to use this information today to better their lives today, and I'll get into that. I thought those cheesecakes would have been gone.
It's kind of like, crazy, or, and I wouldn't say it's very interesting because, most of us, almost all of us, been programmed or been
Right.
taught to do this.
That's, yep.
If I were to go to my parents, tell them, hey, 1, 2, 3, they look at me like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly. Yep, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yep. Get to the bathroom. 8362 pound. Oh, I need to transfer your money. 8362 pound. I've got the code 8362, right? Oh. I already sent out the email saying, yeah. You got the email, didn't you? Huh? No. It's at 12:30. You're talking about the IT class? Hmm? Yeah, yeah. Are you guys not getting my emails? Yeah. Or yeah, this one text. Yeah, text. Yeah. That's huh? Phil? No, Phil was there. Yeah. Yeah, I sent it yesterday. Well, yeah, I sent both. Let's see.
But I feel like every time we meet on a week, there's a new group of texts getting created.
Oh yeah. It was a new because some people that I dropped off of the I took off the list. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and resume. All right. So where we left off was one, going back to Yuli's question, what does Parthenogenic Yanun say about all this? And two, I forgot the other one. What we're going to talk about.
The origin and existence.
Ah, there we go. How did all of this come to be? All right. So when Earth was seeded with life, weeks ago we talked about how, if you want to call them angels, but they are beings from another galaxy, seeded life on this planet using the dolphin. The dolphin is not native to Earth, but was sent here and put into the waters of Earth. And within that package of the dolphin was the formula to start human life. This is why when you look at the etymology of the word dolphin, as a matter of fact, somebody just go on etymology.com. And we're going to look up the word dolphin, etymology, ETYMOLOGY. Let me know when you're there.
You want to look up dolphin?
Yeah, look up dolphin.
Popular name of a diverse group. Proper name of a diverse group of mammals, also including the herbivores. The true dolphin has a longer, more circular snout.
I see. Okay. That's at the bottom.
Well, I know it's old because this is a very ancient.
Yeah,
It was used.
it's spelled differently too.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I'm getting. I want you to find where the etymology of the word dolphin actually means womb, and it might be spelled.
Oh, this
Meaning
is right here.
Go ahead. What does it say?
Womb.
You found it?
Yeah, mine says family named Adam and three brother literally of the same womb.
From the same womb. The actual meaning of dolphin or delphine is womb. And it was in this particular womb, delphine, that the package of life was put into the dolphin, implanted in the water, which is why humans are 3/4 and only 1/4 what people call land or earth. You're actually a water being. And when women give birth, if they give birth in water, the child will come out automatically knowing how to swim. And so there are people now that are giving birth in water as opposed to in a hospital bed and on land and in air. Now, when this life started populating in the waters and before and coming up onto land, it first came up on land in what people call today South Africa. And so that's where life started to begin. The first tribe being the Sans, S-A-N-S. San likes when I say that, but he's not here today. The Sans people. Let me put that back up here so I don't forget. Israelites. What scientists are finding now is that these ancient people have all the traits of all other people, meaning what people consider the slanted eyes of the Asians are in the Sans. Dimples are in the Sans. Some people, when they get these lines in their head, are in the Sans people. All the traits that are in the human family throughout, no matter what racial group you come from, they're finding in the Sans. And they've only just been able to find this because they've cracked the human genome. Now, when life was populating in Africa and spread out from Africa, that was under the beings of O-U-R-A-N-O-S or O-U-S, Uranus. Uranus sounds like what star constellation? Orion. In your Bible, in the New Testament, where the word heaven is there, in the Greek, it's Uranus. A subtle mention that the beings of the heavens, Orion, are responsible for the seeding of life on this planet. Those from Orion were males having a genome YXY, whereas males on Earth, we have XY. There is a companion constellation, Sirius. Sirius, as Panabab Yanun teaches, is ruled by females having an XYX chromosome makeup. Now, this part we can't prove because I can't go to Orion and then get their DNA and come back and test it, or go to Sirius and get their DNA and come back and test it. However, I have found that when Panabab Yanun puts something out, he puts things out ahead of time, and then later it gets confirmed. Like back in the 60s, he was teaching about extraterrestrials, and extraterrestrials being the angels and or the demons. And then at that time, it's, oh, you know, he's crazy and this and that. And now today, people are not only talking about extraterrestrials, but the Pentagon during Trump's administration created Star Force, whatever it was called, Space Force, because of the threat that extraterrestrials pose, because the Navy pilots had to go to the Pentagon and complain that these UFOs are interfering with their flight patterns. They then had to go to the president and say, we need some type of military branch that takes care of threats from space, i.e. Space Force. Now, when he was teaching this back in the 60s, they were calling him crazy. But as he told me, he has to get this information out to us right now, despite how crazy it sounds, because they know the infamous they, who are the they? They know that we're coming to a time of what they call enlightenment, what we call endarkenment. It's when people are awakening, and it cannot be stopped. So it's like two master chess players playing a game, but one knows in 9 moves, they're done. There's nothing they can do to win. They're going to lose, and they know it. So the most they can do is stall. That's what you see right now. With his arrival, as he told me, he has 3, I'll get to that. He has 3 particular entities that guide him, of 19 total. And there is what we talked about before, an end game. And that's when there's a mass consciousness awakening, and they know they can't stop it. They know that Christianity and Islam and Judaism and all these other religions are going to be revealed for what they are, untrue, and they can't stop it. All they can do is delay, 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 but it can't be stopped. There are certain things that are supposed to happen, that will happen, that cannot be stopped and cannot be delayed. They are using, again, the infamous day, programs. Let me go back. They have brain teams. Each country has a brain team, and some multi-countries have a brain team. And they come up with simulations of what if this happens, then we do this. What if this happens, then we do this. What if this happens, then we do this. They also have remote viewers. Those are people that they teach. I'll take Yuli to the side and we'll work with him. We'll put a blindfold on him and we'll get him to be able to see what's happening in another room while he's sitting here in this room. That's called remote viewing. And then once he's able to see what's happening in the next room, then we'll expand it. We'll see if he can go to another city to see what's happening in the city while he's sitting right here. Every country, I shouldn't say every country, but most of your developed countries are using remote viewers as part of their military. Now, when Earth was being seeded, there are another group of beings who came here for a specific purpose. Those, and this is where your God, your Yahweh, your Elo, your Elohim, your Allah, your Allahumma picks up. All right, so the first, we talked about them before. Anunnaki. The Anunnaki are a group of extraterrestrials that live on a planet-sized ship called Nibiru. Nibiru comes into the Milky Way galaxy every 3,600 years. They call it a Shar, S-H-A-R. This ship itself is too big. It's like the size of Jupiter. It can't come into our solar system without causing irreparable damage. So it hangs out and sends smaller crafts in. These Anunnaki is broken up to Anu, Na, and Ki. Anu is the most high of the Anunnaki. He's their leader. Na is 50. Ki is an ancient name of Earth. So they get their title because Anu sent groups of 50 of these beings to Ki. And their job was to mine gold because there was another planet whose ozone layer was depleting. And they need gold in the atmosphere because when the sun's rays hit gold, it reflects back out. A side note, this is also why people think the Apollo mission did not go to the moon, because during 1969, they didn't know about the solar flares. In order to go from Earth to the moon, you pass a radiation belt. And if a craft had gone through that radiation belt without being lined with gold, they would have fried. It was only after 1969 they found out about this radiation belt and started aligning all of the shuttles with gold, so that if radiation does hit it, it reflects back out and doesn't fry the occupants of that container, i.e. shuttle. Now, when these Anunnaki came, they came to mine gold. But when they came down in the area of Iraq or Sumeria.
They're mentioned in Sumer, on their hieroglyphics.
Yes.
You can see in some of the paintings. I actually did a research back in my first year at college on them. On the hieroglyphics,
yes.
Images,
Mm-hmm.
you can tell there's two different types of being.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell they are of a bigger, more built, taller than the average person.
Right.
And they were seated at sort of like the status similar to what a king would be, or an emperor would be. And you can see the regular being, giving offerings in different, like in a line of people.
Right.
Waiting. And it was said to be that they were the ones who came and shared some technology, with us, or with the people of Sumer civilization. That's why it says that Sumer civilization was extremely advanced in its time.
Mm-hmm.
And that was due to the fact of the Ancient people being present at that time. You can see in these hieroglyphics images that they had extraterrestrial ships,
Mhm.
you know, what we call flying saucers now, but you can see that the people were pointing out flying objects, you know, that were emitting, you know, certain lights and certain things. So
Right.
yes, these extraterrestrials, that's why, like, you know, every time people say it's not true, it's just very difficult to compile all that information off of a whim to
Mhm.
someone who never knew about it.
All right. So someone who never
How do they
knew.
know when to come? Or like what's it like?
What was that?
Like UFOs and stuff. Like how do they know when to come? And what they're looking for?
Okay. I'll open up for a reason. All right. So let me go back to Alani, then I come to Yuli. So the Anunnaki, when they came down in Sumer, today's that Iraq region, and they were sent on a mission to mine gold. That was their sole mission: get the gold off of that planet. They came down in groups of 50 because each of their smaller crafts held 50 people, and so they were under a particular leader of this mission. That leader of the mission was a being named, who, or I should say, he developed this name, Enki, him. Enki was known as the ruler of Earth because his mission was to mine this gold on Earth, have it sent up to the shuttles that were in orbit, and then they would send it back to Nibiru.
Just to
But
cut you off, the goal was for them to travel.
no. Again, they had a planet whose atmosphere was being destroyed because of the sun's rays, and they needed gold to deflect those rays. And that took me into the Apollo, but I'll come back to that. But there's also a movie based on this very thing that I'm going to tell you.
So how did they know gold existed on Earth?
All right. That goes back to, let me go back. We talked about Anu being the leader of the Anunnaki, the god of the Anunnaki. Before him was his half brother named.
Because, like, if you think about it from an average perspective, human now, this takes immaculate, like, will and research. Like,
Right.
for us humans to come up with a breakthrough right now and assume such planet has such things, it would be considered for us as a breakthrough.
Right.
Not only that, we're obviously going to be advanced in, like, extreme futuristic
Right.
civilization.
Yes. Now, these Anunnaki, of course, would have to be advanced if they have a planet-sized ship that's traveling through space. It comes through Earth, through this particular galaxy every 3,600 years. And it was another being who was exiled and took refuge on Earth, who then found out that this planet had the minerals that the Anunnaki were out in the stars looking for. And this Alalu is the one who found it just by accident. But initially, he didn't want to tell the Anunnaki that he found what they were looking for. He started setting up his kingdoms in South America. That's why you'll see Olmec, you'll see the Aztec, you'll see the Mayas. He was setting up his empire, Alalu. When the Anunnaki came, when he finally did tell the rest of the Anunnaki that what they're looking for is here on Earth, then Anu sent Enki to go inspect it and see about this gold. When Enki came, he saw that the best gold was in Africa. But Alalu, and this is what I'm telling you is what he taught me. What Alalu was telling Enki, we can't bother those in Africa because they are under another group of beings called the Natharu. That's Ra, Osiris, Isis. That's all of them. And they were saying if we were to bother them, then we would be brought into a conflict with the Natharu. Okay.
So I want to cut you off. Can't you see a pattern here with all these stories?
Yes, there is a pattern with these stories.
That Earth, planet Earth, is such a hub all these, extraterrestrials.
Right.
Since the dawn of, history.
Since the dawn of
In the sense of, we get multiple visitations from
Yes.
multiple people across
Yes.
the galaxies.
right.
And it feels like we're on the center of the stage, but without us knowing. It feels like everyone else knows about Earth, and visits
That's
Earth
true.
and has the capabilities to come here and leave.
They come here and
But-
leave.
but
Yes.
Us, regular people here, folks, are so captured in a bubble.
Right.
We're
That's true.
very still unaware of like all these things because a lot of these, stories and it dates back to like times before
Yes.
religions were even like taking place.
That's
why a lot
that's
of
true.
People say like religions, could have sparked up from these extraterrestrials because for a human to see a flying object back like 3, 4, 5, 8,000 BC, that is like a wow moment.
Mhm.
It's still a wow moment now. So I
Mhm.
just think sometimes it's like a little weird that
Yeah. Yeah.
all these civilizations from ancient and different places in this universe come and visit Earth
Yes.
out of all planets.
Yeah, it's a cycle of time. I don't think I have enough time to go into that cycle of time based on 24, but I will say this: there are dimensions or pockets that open between the Milky Way galaxy and another galaxy, and during that pocket of time, certain extraterrestrial beings, for lack of a better word, have a wormhole, but then the gate closes and another gate opens. And then another group of extraterrestrials are able to come to the Milky Way back and forth. And as of the year 2000, one doorway has closed and another has opened. Now, let me go back to what he was saying, which is Parthogenesis teach about all this and the origin of these religions. When these beings came down and they were assigned to do the work of mining the gold, they started bickering and complaining because the work was too hard and they didn't want to do it. And so they started complaining to Enki that the work was too hard. This is not work that they were built to do. And so it was dragging. And Enki himself started getting caught up on Earth. He started wearing the gold necklaces and he started finding pleasure. Go ahead.
Was there any evidence the whole thing happened? They were hunting for gold, and now was there any evidence for it? Or
In
Yeah.
civilization Sumer,
Yeah.
the hieroglyphics.
Yeah,
it was-
in ancient Sumer, they left tablets, they left drawings that is evidence. There's evidence and there's proof. This is evidence for the proof of their existence. Once you have a certain amount of evidence and then it becomes proof, then it becomes fact. So in ancient Sumer, they left artifacts. They left not only tablets called the Enuma Elish, the Gilgamesh epics, and let me see, I'll come to that in a minute, but they left stuff that can be verified in ancient Sumer. Now, the Iraq War, most people think was over oil. That was one of the minor reasons. The major reason for the Iraq War was because they found caches of all of this evidence proving the Anunnaki's existence, proving that the Anunnaki created a type of man to start doing this work that the Anunnaki didn't want to do. And then the Anunnaki created this type of man or these beings as a source of food for other beings. They found that this information and they destroyed it. When they went and started bombing in Iraq, they were bombing all of these things that they have found on the Anunnaki.
A lot of people don't know when the war first started. We had a lot of like the first 6 to 12 months was like broadcasted in the news, but shut down quickly. A lot of expedition teams came in and stole a lot of tablets.
Right.
A lot of like people from Jerusalem, you know, to accommodate and align their vision with Moses and
Mhm.
Jesus and some of their religious with the Torah, pretty much,
Mhm.
because we had the original tablet for the Torah in Iraq.
Mhm.
I forgot what tablet was it, but it was in the news. A lot of artifacts got
Mhm.
stolen,
Right.
and due to the country obviously hopping from one war to another, we
Right.
never had the chance to cultivate
Secure. Yeah. Yeah.
the
Right. The immense knowledge.
artifacts.
Yeah. Exactly. Right.
But it was very like history, like rich in history.
Right. Oh yeah. It was.
I've
Yes.
never gotten the chance to really cultivate and you know, invest that time. A
Right.
lot of it just gone missing.
And that's why I said at the very beginning that there is an end game that they know in a certain set of moves and game is over. So what they're doing is playing a game of delay. So we'll destroy these artifacts in Iraq so that no one can review them, and the other ones, whatever we can grab and then store in a vault somewhere, we'll do that. But it's to no avail. All of this outformation, as he calls it, is going to come out anyway. All they're doing is trying to delay and trying to confuse in doing this, playing this shuffle game, but it's still not going to work.
So who's there? I get it. It's such a broad question.
Right.
But are we talking about like an entity formed up by people on Earth? Let's say, quote unquote, the Illuminati.
The Illuminati is a part of it. That they are under the order of the owl. Every year in California, there's the order of the owl. They have this great big, the Bohemian Grove. They meet, and this is where the world leaders meet, and they decide
They
who's.
have Queen Elizabeth there, George Bush.
Yeah, all the leaders of the world meet there, because this is where a particular Anunnaki, who they know as Yahweh or Allah or God, his name is Nanar. Nanar gives them orders for the upcoming years of what they're supposed to do. That is the Yahweh, the God, or the Allah. Now, as of the year 2000, that particular Anunnaki and his beings are gone. They can't come back. That doorway is closed.
Did they purposely leave?
No, well, yeah, they had to leave, or because then they would be trapped here.
Trapped.
Yeah, it's like the wormhole closes, and they wouldn't be able to get out, and they would have to find residence somewhere within the Milky Way galaxy.
So why did they stay here this long?
The original reason they came was, again, looking for that gold. But then when they started making people to take over that work, then what happened was the Anunnaki asked the Natharu if they could use the DNA of Africans to make another people. This is where the Torah picks up in the creation of an Adam and an Eve, which is really a type of people that was made to do labor. And then these gods, these Anunnaki, started having sex with the very beings they created. This pissed off Enki's brother, Enlil, because Enlil's plan was to get these people, these new people called Adamites, to do the work that the Anunnaki didn't want to do. And then when they were finished, Enlil's plan was to wipe them all out, i.e. the flood of Noah. Yes. Yeah, to get rid of them. Because Enlil, I wonder if he's on the next page. Reptilians. This is the Holy Tablets. Yeah.
Who are those people on the other page?
These reptilians. All right, so let me get into that.
They're supposed to have it like taken form, human form.
They're shapeshifters. Yeah, they're shapeshifters. So the Anunnaki came here, but then after the Anunnaki,
Was them?
no, came the Pleiadians. The Pleiadians are the blonde-haired, blue-eyed beings that Hitler met with. And this is why Hitler was trying to make blonde-haired, blue-eyed people, because he saw them as the master race. the Pleiadians came here and asked Anunnaki for help.
And that's why people also say Germany or Hitler Germany was ahead of its time,
It was.
like military-wise,
Right, yeah.
equipment-wise,
Right.
because they were achieving stuff. And if you look back, every world war,
Mhm.
there was a breakthrough in technology,
Right.
like huge breakthrough.
Yes. So these Pleiadians, to speak to that, were giving the Hitler or Germany advanced knowledge and weaponry. But when the Pleiadians came here, they were running from the reptilians, because the reptilians were hunters and were hunting the Pleiadians and using them as food. When the Pleiadians came here and met up with the Anunnaki came up with a solution. The Anunnaki were already going to make a people to do the work that the Anunnaki didn't want to do. And then they were also going to allow these people to multiply so that the draconian reptilians could use the Adamites for food instead of the Pleiadians. But then the Natharu got involved in it as well, because the solution that the Natharu came up with was, when the Anunnaki creates these Adamites, what the Anunnaki did, what the Natharu did was put poison in the Adamites. And so when the reptilians would abduct and eat these Adamites, they would die. This pissed off the reptilians. And then there was a whole war between the Anunnaki, the Anunnaki, the Natharu, the reptilians, and the Pleiadians, as well as those of Hindu. And the Hindus captured this in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Gita, where they're talking about this huge war.
That was nuclear.
Yes, that was nuclear. Yes, that was real. That was all because of this. But in doing this, when they created these Adamites, now this is the root of the question.
Who was the Hindus?
I'll come back to that. And the root of the question was, how do we get into all these different religions? The Anunnaki then left texts for these Adamites to follow, because they were uncivilized, they were barbaric, and the Anunnaki wanted them to have a certain way of life and a certain level of civilization. And so they plagiarized other texts, like the Enuma Elish became the Torah. The Gilgamesh epics became the story of Noah. So they were taking, the Anunnaki under Tammuz was taking other stories and creating a story called Torah, creating a story called Bible, creating a story called Quran for these Adamites to follow. Now, as of the year 2000, those particular Anunnaki that was in charge of the Adamites, their time is up. The Adamites' responsibility was to dominate the world for 6,000 years. This goes back to a question Son had. I wish he was here. He was saying, why does it seem like Caucasians are controlling everything? And that is because a branch of the Caucasians called the Adamites were giving that particular responsibility by the Anunnaki for 6,000 years, and the planet was quarantined. Meaning that you might say the reason why we don't see those nuclear wars occurring between these extraterrestrial beings anymore is because the planet was quarantined. They were not allowed to come anymore. A confederacy was set up and they overlook what's happening, who's coming through the wormhole, for lack of a better word, into this particular sphere of existence.
Well, you see how this goes back into my life that I just told you. It feels like we're an aquarium with goldfishes in a house.
That is a good point, but it's not really you are in an aquarium, even though we say we're breathing air, you're actually breathing in water vapors. This is actually a farm. Planet Earth is being used as a farm to grow food for different extraterrestrial beings. Everyone is on the menu with the exception of Africans, and that's because of Parthogenesis. Right. And this is why when you look at abduction stories, you don't see Black people getting abducted. There was the case of Barney and Betty Hill. Barney is Black, his wife Betty is white. They were abducted, but they were put back because they weren't supposed to abduct an African, Barney. And then there's another movie called The Fourth Kind in Alaska. Right, where they had abducted a black guy and they put him back because they're not supposed to abduct Africans. But the other people in Alaska, the white people, they abducted and they took and they used them as food. And if you haven't seen The Fourth Kind, it is a must-watch documentary about what as he taught us is that in the year 2000, these extraterrestrials, the Anunnaki, took 144,000 of them. They abducted people from all over the world, met in Nome, Alaska, and then took off from Nome, Alaska. And they are to be used to breed food for the draconian reptilians. And I think The Fourth Kind documentary / movie does a very good portrayal of who these beings are.
So can we safely say that the reptilians are at the top of the food chain?
Food,
Or they are the apex, and all of what you just mentioned.
they are the apex predators, but at the top of the paradigm is,
The Anunnaki?
nope, it's like this. And I haven't mentioned these ones yet. It's all under the Riskians. We haven't talked about the Riskians yet. The Riskians are the ones who grew this entire universe, not just the Milky Way, but this entire universe. And we haven't talked about them yet. Time check.
12:32.
Ah, okay, well, we'll stop there. We're supposed to stop 30 minutes ago, but just kept going on and on.
It's all good. This is getting good.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't have to stop.
All right. So sorry, Coretta and Tanisha, we didn't get to let you guys read. You still there?
So the fourth kind talks about all of that.
Yes. Well, the fourth kind talks about the Anunnaki and and what's happening in Nome, Alaska today.
But like, it's very like, I think it's a little bit annoying, that this is the playground for everyone
Yes,
else,
that's true.
but we don't know.
You're right.
We died.
Yeah. No, you're right. But that's the reason why he was sent, is to get this information out from there to here.
How do you
And
think people would react if the general public was extremely educated on this matter?
the general public are going to be educated extremely on this matter. That's why I was saying the end game is that they know this information is going to come out and everybody's going to be raised up as a result of it. They don't want that. They want you to believe in the Bible or the Torah or the Quran, because as long as I can keep you under the banner of belief without substantiated facts, I can get you to do anything. Yes.
Last question, I promise. So what is his job from all of this? Does he work with a specific group? Like, what's his job in all of it?
His job, Hanabab Yanun's job, was to deliver this information primarily to the Africans, but as he said, to any and all who are willing to listen. That is his job. His job is to set the record straight, which is why these books, there's more books than this. He had to go into the Torah and show you where they misled you and put it out correctly. He had to go into the Quran, and they had a fit. Muslims had a fit and tried to kill him. Saudi Arabia sent a guy named Nosair. It was two guys they sent to try to kill Dr. York and Farrakhan, because they were mad that Dr. York put out his own Quran with pictures. Yeah.
They tried to
Yeah.
think there's like, I think when they were apprehending him, so much like push him down the stage.
Right. Yeah, that too. And but the Muslims are primarily mad because he put a picture of Muhammad in the Quran. But
You don't believe in that, right? So you think him being in jail was a way of them to hold him, or?
oh yeah, the agreement was that if he would stop teaching this, they would let him out, and he couldn't agree to that because that's his whole purpose of being, is to get this information into your ears, into your being. As I was saying, the end game is it's going to come out anyway. There's nothing they can do to stop it. All they can do is a shell game to try to delay. But in 9 moves, and it's checkmate.
You gotta medicate it for now.
Yeah. Yep. All right, so we'll go ahead and stop there. We've got the next class coming in for IT. Yeah, it's another class we have before this. Yeah.
Start at 10.
Yeah, 10, it's supposed to go to 10 and 12. But Mr. Alani there with all his questions. No, it's good. It's good. This is good. And so we'll put this out on the.
I can talk about this all day. Like, we can talk about this all day. I don't care.
It's fascinating because imagine a goldfish, you have in your house. The goldfish
Right.
don't know what's in the other rooms.
Right.
They, just come
Right.
and feed them every morning.
Yep,
That's it.
that's his existence. That's true.
You're not a goldfish, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
You're the rock in the aquarium, in the bottom.
All right.